My beloved child, before you leave this place, before your heart closes the door on a long day, before the noises of life pull you far away from the peace within your soul, I ask you to pause with me for just one small moment. Do not hurry past as though these words were only a passing breeze. There are words that do not need much time to touch a human life, but if you allow them to enter your heart, they can remain with you throughout an entire journey. I know you are tired. I know you have tried to appear strong before others. I've smiled while your heart still carried many scratches. Have said, I am Fine, while deep inside you were only longing for someone to see through you. And today, I come not to blame you for the times you were weak, nor to ask why you were late, why you doubted, why you stumbled. I come like a father sitting beside his child after a long day, placing a gentle hand upon your shoulder and reminding you that you are still loved. In the book of Isaiah, there is a tender word that says, even if a mother could forget her child, I will not forget you. And I want you to hear this not as a sentence from long ago, but as a living, breathing whisper touching this very moment of your life. Perhaps you think a goodbye is a final period, a door closing, something sorrowful and cold. But in my light, even goodbye can become a blessing. When a day comes to an end, it is not because the light has died, but because dawn is preparing for another return. When someone leaves you, it is not always because you are unworthy, but sometimes because I am making room for a greater peace. When a season ends, it is not always a loss, but at times it is, my hand gently loosening from you what has weighed upon your heart for too long. Do not fear endings, for I am the one who knows how to turn sunset into prayer, tears into streams, ashes into green shoots. Do you remember when the people of Israel stood before the Red Sea? With the enemy behind them and deep waters before them, they thought everything was over, yet in the very place where there seemed to be no way forward, I opened a path. So, if today you are standing before a farewell, a decision, a turning point, or a closing door, breathe deeply and believe that I can still open the sea beneath your feet. I know there are words you did not have time to say to the one you love, mistakes you did not have time to repair, dreams you have put away in a drawer because you thought you no longer had enough strength. You once wanted to begin again, but fear pulled you back toward the old place. You once wanted to forgive, but the wound began to ache again when memory returned. You once wanted to live more healthily, to take care of your body, to wake up earlier, to pray more, to speak more kindly. But then busyness, financial pressure, work, family, responsibilities, and the judgmental voices of the world kept sweeping you away like a great current. I do not stand outside your life demanding that you be perfect. I step into the very messy room of your soul, the place where you hide what is not yet right. And I say to you, begin again with one small thing. Just one sincere apology. Just one meal through which you care for your body. Just one evening when you put down your phone and listen to your child speak. Just 1 minute when you close your eyes and say, Father, please lead me. In the gospel, I said that whoever is faithful in small things will also be faithful in great things. So do not look down upon quiet steps, because many miracles begin with something very small. If this is the last message you hear before stepping into a new day, I want you to carry this one thing with you. You are not the sum of your failures. You are not the debt that makes you anxious every night. You are not the criticism someone once threw at you. You are not the past that makes you lower your head whenever you remember it. You are the child I created in love, called by name before you knew how to call yourself, upheld even when you thought no one was standing beside you, Perhaps the world measures your worth by the money in your account, by your position at work, by beauty, by popularity, by what you have achieved by a certain age. But I do not look at you the way people look at you. I look at you with the eyes that once looked upon Peter after he denied his master 3 times. Not to condemn him, but to draw him back. I look at you with the eyes that once looked upon the woman at the well in Samaria, the woman who carried many broken stories, yet was still offered living water. I look at you with the eyes that saw the prodigal son from afar, then ran to embrace him before he could finish reading his apology. My beloved child, when you feel unworthy of love, that is precisely when you need to remember that my love is not purchased by your perfection. There will be people who do not understand your journey. They will see a few torn pages and think they know the whole book. They will hear an old story and assume you will forever be the person you were yesterday. But I have been with you in the nights no one saw, in the times you wiped your own tears, in the mornings when you still got up, even though your heart was exhausted. I saw you choose silence in order to preserve peace in your family. I saw you work hard, even when no one applauded. I saw you share the little you had with others, even while you yourself were lacking. I saw you try, little by little, to become a better father, mother, child, friend, or spouse. And I say to you, those quiet things have not been lost. Like a seed lying deep in the soil, no one sees it, stretching itself in the darkness. But spring will bear witness to its perseverance. In the Psalms, it is written that those who sow in tears shall reap with joy. Keep that word in your heart when your hands grow weary. For my harvest does not always come according to your clock, but it is never late in my plan. Sometimes what you need to release is not a person, but the old image in which you have imprisoned yourself. You keep thinking you must always be strong, always have an answer for everything, always prove yourself, always please everyone. But, my child, even the earth needs rest in order to become fertile. Even the sea has moments when the tide withdraws. And even Jesus, while he was on earth, left the crowds to go up the mountain and pray. So why do you blame yourself when you need rest? Your body is not a machine for you to exploit until it is emptied completely. It is a living temple where I have placed breath. Your mind is not a room meant to hold every worry in the world. It is a garden that needs to be watered with truth, gratitude, and gentle words. Your soul is not a place to be filled with shame. It is the lamp I desire to light. If today you are too tired, sleep in peace. If your heart is tangled, speak to me with words that do not need to be arranged. If your body is hurting, care for it with gentleness. I do not only care about your soul when you kneel in prayer, I also care about your meals, your sleep, your heartbeat, the pains you hide, and even the sigh you have never shaped into words. In matters of money, do not let fear turn your heart into barren land. I know bills can make you lose sleep. Expenses can make you feel as though you are being chased. And sometimes you ask yourself whether your hard work will ever be enough. But remember, I do not teach you to despise material things, nor do I want you to live irresponsibly. I teach you to place wealth in its proper place, so that money serves life instead of ruling your soul. When Jesus saw the widow put 2 small coins into the offering box, he did not consider it little, because in the eyes of God, value is not found only in the number, but in trust and surrender. Manage what you have with wisdom. Work with integrity. Save with awareness. Give within your ability, and do not let comparison steal your joy. Some people have much and yet are poor in peace. Some have little and yet their hearts are wide like a field after rain. I will not always give you everything you want in the way you imagine. But I will teach you to recognize fullness, even in a simple season. And I will open ways of provision you did not expect. In your family, remember that not every home must be perfect in order to become a sacred place. There are families learning how to speak to one another again after many years of silence. There are fathers learning to be gentler, mothers learning to forgive themselves, children learning gratitude, husbands and wives trying to hold each other's hands through the cold season of marriage. I do not require your home to always be filled with laughter, but I invite you to let love become the small lamp that does not go out. Say words of affection while you still can. Embrace your children before they grow to an age when they no longer easily run into your arms. Call your parents, if that is still possible, not because everything between you is perfect, but because time on this earth is more fragile than you think. When Jesus on the cross entrusted Mother Mary to the beloved disciple, he showed you that even in the hour of deepest pain, family love remains something sacred that must be cared for. So if today someone in your family needs a softer word, a more patient gaze, or a forgiveness not yet complete but already beginning, let me walk with you in that small step. Your work, too, can be part of your prayer if you do it with a clean conscience. Do not think that only when you are in church, when you recite prayers, when you hold the sacred book, are you close to me. I am in the hands of the worker, laboring honestly, in the eyes of the nurse who stays awake through the night caring for patients, in the patience of the teacher with a difficult child, in the seller who speaks truthfully, in the laborer who does not deceive, in the content creator who wants to sow something beautiful into the world. Each day, when you step into your work, you can turn your desk, shop, workshop, kitchen, classroom, vehicle, field, or computer screen into a small altar, where diligence is offered up with love. If someone does not recognize you, I still see. If a project fails, I can still use it to teach you perseverance. If a career door closes, I can lead you into another hallway. St. Paul once reminded you to do everything as if doing it for the Lord. Therefore, do not work only to be praised, but work so that your soul may remain upright and your life may become a quiet witness of the light. Nature around you is also speaking on my behalf each day. You are simply too hurried to hear it. A falling leaf is not meaningless. It teaches you about seasons. A flower blooming by the roadside does not need anyone's applause. It is still beautiful because it is living according to what I placed within it. The morning sky does not ask whether you are worthy to look at it. It simply opens. Just as my mercy continues to open over the righteous and the weak alike. When you look at the birds of the air, remember what Jesus once taught: they do not sow or reap, and yet your heavenly Father still feeds them. That word is not meant to make you lazy, but to make you less panicked. When you look at the lilies of the field, remember that beauty does not come from strain, but from resting in the hand of the Creator. You are the same. You do not need to force yourself to bloom in someone else's season. Some bloom at 20. Some bloom after many storms. And some only truly recognize their fragrance after passing through years that seemed barren. I am not in a hurry with you. Do not be in a hurry to hate yourself. If there is one thing I want you to do after hearing this word, it is to live a little more lightly, not carelessly, but lightly because you know you do not carry the whole universe alone. Put down what does not belong to your portion. You cannot control another person's heart, but you can keep your own heart from bitterness. You cannot repair every day that has passed, but you can choose not to repeat the same wound today. You cannot please everyone, but you can live truthfully before me. You cannot see the whole road, but you can take one more step beneath the lamp of my word. For the Psalm says that the word of God is a lamp for your feet and a light for your path. Sometimes I do not give you the map of the entire journey. Not because I want you to be afraid, but because I want you to learn to hold my hand day by day. Faith is not that you never tremble, but that you still reach your hand toward me while trembling. Courage is not that you never cry, but that you cry in my arms and still rise again. Those who have left you, the things that have passed, the doors that no longer open, entrust them back to me. There are relationships that were blessings for one season, but if you keep holding on when that season has ended, the blessing can become a burden. There are memories that once taught you to grow, but if you continue living inside them, the lesson will become a prison. I do not tell you to forget by denying the pain. I teach you to remember without remaining bound, to love without losing yourself, to forgive without letting the wound control your life. When Joseph in the Old Testament met again the brothers who had sold him, he did not say that the evil had never happened, but he recognized that I had been able to turn what people intended for harm into something that saved many lives. You are the same. Not every painful thing comes from me, but I can step into it and cause goodness to bloom where you cannot yet see it. Your scar is not only there to remind you that you suffered, it can also become a testimony that you have been healed. And if you are afraid that it is too late, I want you to hear this clearly. In my vineyard, even the one who comes at the final hour is still called. You still have breath, which means the invitation remains. You woke up this morning, which means grace has placed a blank page before you. Do not say, I have lost too many years, as if I cannot redeem time. Do not say, I have made too many mistakes, as if my mercy has limits. Do not say, I am no longer worthy, as if the cross were only for those who have never fallen. Look at the good thief beside Jesus in his final hour, with only one sincere word of return. The gate of paradise was opened. This is not meant to encourage you to delay what is good, but to remind you that no moment is too late to return to the light. Today, you can begin by apologizing to someone, tidying your room, writing down what you are grateful for, drinking a glass of water, stepping outside to look at the sky, opening the Bible, turning off the noise, or simply placing your hand upon your chest and saying, Father, I am still here. I also want you to learn to love yourself with a love that is not arrogant, not selfish, but a love that honors what I have created. Do not curse your face each time you look in the mirror. Do not hate your body just because it does not resemble the image the world praises. Do not treat your soul as ruins just because there are days when it is not yet at peace. I formed you wonderfully, as the psalm sings, that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Therefore, when you despise yourself, you forget that I have placed the mark of my loving hand upon you. Care for yourself not to be recognized by the world, but because you are a gift I have entrusted to your own keeping. Eat more healthily because you need strength to love. Rest because you were not created to be exhausted. Avoid toxic words because your mind needs clean air. Choose companions who draw you toward the light, not those who only make you feel small. A holy life is not a life that rejects every joy. It is a life that knows how to choose the kind of joy that does not destroy the soul. Perhaps you are waiting for a very great sign from heaven, a clap of thunder, a miraculous door, a wonder that changes everything at once. But, my beloved child, many times I come very quietly. I come through a message of concern from a friend. I come through a sentence spoken by chance that touches the exact wound in you. I come through a song that brings tears to your eyes. I come through the small peace that follows prayer. I come through a new opportunity. But sometimes I also come through a rejection that saved you from a road not meant for you. Elijah did not encounter me in the mighty wind. nor in the earthquake or the fire, but in the gentle whisper. So do not look for me only in what is loud and dazzling. Learn to recognize me in the small things, in slowness, in the silence between two breaths, in sunlight falling on a table, in the eyes of someone you love, in the ordinary things you once took lightly. A miracle is not always a mountain being moved. Sometimes the miracle is that your heart is no longer as hard as it was yesterday. When you leave these words, I do not want you to carry the sadness of an ending, but the warmth of a blessing. Keep going, but do not go like someone abandoned. Work, but do not let work consume your soul. Love, but do not forget that the first source of your love is me. Earn money, but do not sell your peace in exchange for things that cannot hold you when night falls. Care for your family, but also allow me to care for you. Correct yourself, but do not beat your soul with harsh words. Dream, but place that dream in my hands, so it may be purified and guided. Forgive, but also learn to set boundaries with wisdom. Remember the departed with gratitude. Remember those who left with peace. Remember the past as a lesson, and remember yourself with gentleness. For I have promised, I am with you always, until the end of the age. That word was not only for the disciples long ago, it also covers your room today. The road you walk, the chair you sit upon, and the decisions you are about to make. So now, allow me to place a word of peace upon your forehead. Like morning dew resting upon a field, I bless your eyes, that they may see what is beautiful, even in a day that is not perfect. I bless your ears, that they may know how to hear the truth and not be drowned by the noise of fear. I bless your mouth, that the words you speak may heal instead of wound. I bless your hands, that they may know how to do good, how to lift others up, and how to release what no longer belongs to them. I bless your feet, that even if the road is long, you will not forget that I accompany every step. I bless your heart, the heart that has endured much, but still has the capacity to love, still has the capacity to believe, still has the capacity to begin again. And if tonight you feel lonely, remember that loneliness is not proof that I am far from you many times. It is the space I am preparing so you can hear my voice more clearly. Sleep in mercy, wake in hope, walk in the light. If I must speak one final word before you leave, I will not say anything that makes you afraid. I will say what has upheld countless souls through every age. Peace be with you. Do not be afraid, for you belong to me. And once you have heard that you belong to me, do not let those words pass by as if they were only a fleeting comfort. Let them sink deep within you, like rain seeping into dry ground, like fragrant oil poured upon an old wound. You belong to me not only on the days when you pray fervently, not only when you live beautifully, not only when everything within you is orderly and bright. You belong to me even in the moments when you are uncertain, in the evenings when you are irritated for no clear reason, in the times when you break promises to yourself, in the days when you no longer have enough words to speak to me. My love does not stand outside the door waiting for you to clean the house of your soul before entering. That love comes first, bends down, touches the dust, lifts up the broken pieces, and quietly helps you arrange everything again, piece by piece. Remember the story of the tax collector standing far off in the temple, not daring to lift his eyes, only beating his breast and asking God to have mercy on him. And it was precisely that poor and honest truthfulness that opened the way home. So do not wait until you are perfect before you come to me. Come while you are still trembling, still confused, still unfinished. Because a child covered in mud does not need to be driven out of the house. That child needs to be washed and embraced by the Father. From that place of tenderness, I want you to learn again how to look at life with eyes washed in hope. Not a naive hope that denies pain, but a hope that knows pain does not have the final word. The world often teaches you to doubt before you trust, to defend yourself before you love, to hold tightly before you give, to fight to win before you listen. But in my kingdom, what grows from within is different. The meek shall inherit the earth. The peacemakers shall be called children of God, and the pure in heart shall see my light in the most ordinary things. Life may have made you sharp-edged, like a stone struck again and again, but I do not want you to become a cold stone. I want you to become a stone smoothed by the stream of grace, strong enough not to break, yet gentle enough not to wound others. If someone has made you lose faith in goodness, do not let them also steal the ability to love that I have planted within you. Some people pass through your life like violent winds, but because of fierce winds, you do not need to curse the whole sky. Then, on the days when you feel slower than others, I want you to remember the fig tree, the mustard seed, the leaven in the dough, and every small image my only begotten Son used to speak of the kingdom of heaven. Sacred things often do not begin with noise. The mustard seed is so small that the world can easily overlook it. But when it is planted and grows with perseverance, it can become a place where the birds of the sky come to rest. Your life is the same. Do not despise a day when you move forward, only a little more patience with your children, a little more honesty in your work, a little more restraint in your words, a little more courage when facing the truth, a little more stillness before reacting. These things, in my eyes, are all holy seeds. The world likes to measure success by sudden breakthroughs, but I often build a soul through quiet seasons. Do not blame yourself for not becoming your brightest version overnight. Dawn does not tear the night open in a single instant. It rises layer by layer with light. And it is precisely that slowness that gently awakens the earth and sky. When you look back at old mistakes, your heart may still ache as though touching a bruise. There are decisions you wish you had not made, words you wish you had not spoken, relationships you wish you had known how to cherish better, opportunities you missed because of fear or pride. I do not deny that the past has weight, but I want you to understand that the past is not a throne from which it may rule your life. It is only a layer of soil in which, if you entrust it to me, I can plant new seeds again. Remember David, who was both an anointed king and a man who once committed grave wrongs. Yet when his heart was broken and he returned, I did not cast him out of the story of salvation. From a heart that knew how to weep over its sin, I could still bring forth psalms that would heal generations. So do not think your stain is greater than my mercy. What I seek is not a spotless history, but a heart that still knows how to return. If you have been wrong, learn. If you have hurt someone, apologize when you can. If you have wandered, let today's steps become your words of return. There are also sorrows that do not come from your own mistakes, but from the fact that you loved sincerely in a world where not everyone knows how to treasure love. You once gave trust, and then you were disappointed. You once cared for others, and then you were treated as something ordinary and expected. You once sacrificed quietly, and no one noticed. I have seen the nights when you asked yourself why you were kind and still suffered, why you gave and still felt empty, why you prayed and yet some doors remained closed. My child, goodness does not lose its value simply because the one who receives it does not know how to appreciate it. A seed is not meaningless just because it falls on rocky ground. The sower is still beautiful in my eyes, but I also want to teach you wisdom. Because love does not mean allowing yourself to be crushed again and again. Even Jesus sometimes quietly withdrew from the crowds when they wanted to keep him according to their own desires. And he did not entrust himself to every cheer of praise, because he knew the human heart, love with a spacious heart. But let me teach you how to guard your soul. Kindness must walk with discernment, and forgiveness does not require you to reopen the door to what continues to destroy you. From those wounds, I want to lead you into a peace deeper than outward calm. Your circumstances may not change immediately, but something within you can begin to change. The person who hurt you may not have apologized yet, but your heart can be loosened from the chains of resentment. Your work may not yet be favorable, but you can do today's work with a brighter soul. Your family may not yet be as harmonious as you wish, but your words can become less sharp, your eyes less cold, and the meal you prepare can become a small sign of love. When the risen Jesus appeared among the disciples who had locked their doors out of fear, he did not begin with reproach, but with peace. Hear that for yourself. I do not enter the locked room of your heart to scold you for being afraid. I enter to give you peace right in the midst of that fear. True peace is not when every door is open, but when you know that the risen one can still pass through even the most tightly locked doors within you. And when peace begins to speak, you will learn to look at others with a new mercy. You will understand that many people who wound you are also carrying wounds they do not know how to name. This does not excuse what is wrong, but it helps you not to be swallowed by anger. A strict father may once have been a child who was never embraced. An anxious mother may have lived through seasons of lack. A cold friend may be afraid of being abandoned. A judgmental person may never have been seen with compassionate eyes. When you understand this, you will no longer be quick to throw stones. Remember the story of the woman dragged before Jesus while the crowd wanted only to see her sin, but he bent down, slowly, and caused the hands holding stones to look back at themselves. I want you to live that way too, not joining hands with darkness, but also not making stones your first language. Some souls have already been beaten too much by life. If you can, become a hand that bandages, not a new wound. Yet mercy toward others will not be complete if you do not allow that mercy to flow into yourself. You are often harsher with yourself than I am with you. You remember a small fault for a very long time, magnify a shortcoming, and call yourself names I would never call you. You say you are useless when you fail, ugly when you are tired, worthless when others do not choose you. My beloved child, can you hear how much your soul hurts when you treat it like an enemy? If I call you my beloved child, do not call yourself something discarded. If I have breathed the breath of life into you, do not curse that breath. If I remain patient with you each day, learn to be patient with yourself. When a child learning to walk stumbles, a merciful father does not stand far away and mock him. The father bends down, lifts him up, brushes off the dust, and encourages him to take another step. I am doing the same with you. Each time you fall and return, it is not proof that you have no hope left. It is proof that grace is still calling your name. In the very ordinary concerns of life, I am not far from you either. When you worry about tomorrow's meal, I am there. When you look at your wallet and sigh, I am there. When you take your child to school and pray for that child to be safe, I am there. When you stand before the mirror with a tired face, adjusting your smile before stepping outside, I am there. When you are crowded among the streets, when you sit alone in a small room, when you wash dishes, wash clothes, clean the house, write each line of work, correct each small mistake, I am there. Do not think the spiritual life exists only in great things. Nazareth had many very ordinary years, where Jesus grew up in a home, learned to trade, ate family meals, lived among the sound of hammers, the dust of wood, the village well, and the country road. That very ordinariness was made holy by love. So today, you too can sanctify the kitchen with gratitude. Sanctify your desk with honesty. Sanctify your bed with sleep in peace. And sanctify a greeting with kindness. There is no moment so small that I cannot place light within it. When your heart begins to believe that every small thing can be blessed, you will see that nature is no longer merely scenery outside, but an open book. Morning teaches you that light always knows how to find a way. Rain teaches you that dry soil has not been forgotten. Winter teaches you that silence can also be preparation. The river teaches you that gentleness does not mean weakness, for water knows how to pass through stone by its own perseverance. Look at the wildflowers growing where no one planted them. They do not ask loneliness for permission to bloom. You are the same. Perhaps you were not placed in ideal circumstances. Perhaps your childhood was not perfect. Perhaps your journey has not been smooth. But I can still cause beauty to rise from the very place where others thought nothing could grow. In the book of Isaiah, the image of the desert blooming is not merely poetry, it is how I speak to dry souls, telling them that life can still return. Do not conclude that your life is a wasteland when my season of rain has not yet fully come. If there are time, ye must wait. Wait with a heart that is not buried in despair. Waiting is not standing still without meaning. Waiting can be the time when roots go deep before the trunk rises high. Abraham waited for the promise in his old age. Anna in the temple waited for the Savior through many years of prayer. Simeon held the child in his arms after a lifetime of longing. And in that moment, the long passage of time became a song. You also have prayers that have not been answered in the way you wanted. There are things you have asked for that I have not yet given. Doors you have knocked on that remain silent. People you hoped would return who are still far away. I know waiting can make you weary, but do not mistake my silence for my absence. A potter sometimes places clay on the wheel and uses pressure to shape it. That hand might cause pain to the clay if it could feel. But that very hand is making a vessel able to hold new wine. I do not waste your season of waiting. I am doing what you have not yet seen. While you wait, guard your soul from the poison of comparison. Comparison is a very subtle thief. It does not take away your possessions, but it steals your joy when you look at them. It makes the meal you have become bland. The home you live in becomes small. The face you carry becomes insufficient. The journey you walk becomes slow. Even though before that, all of these could have been blessings. My child, someone else may be in chapter 10 while you are in chapter 3. But no one reads a good book by tearing out the early chapters. I write each person's story with its own rhythm. Do not look at another person's field and forget to water the piece of land I have entrusted to you. Do not count the flowers on someone else's tree and forget the seeds beneath your feet. When Peter asked about John's fate, Jesus drew him back to his own portion with the invitation to follow him. You are the same. Do not let your eyes wander too long on another person's road until your feet forget to walk the path I have placed before you. From that freedom, you will learn gratitude, not merely as politeness, but as a way of life that saves the soul from drying up. Gratitude does not deny what is lacking, but it opens your eyes to what remains. You still have breath. You still have one day to begin again. You still have someone to love. You still have a lesson from pain. You still have the ability to pray, even if only through a sigh. You still have the sky above your head and the earth beneath your feet. When Jesus took the 5 loaves and 2 fish, he gave thanks before the miracle was broken and shared with the crowd. Pause at that detail. The thanksgiving rose while the food was still little, while the need was still great, while the problem had not yet been solved. Yet gratitude itself opens space for multiplication. So in your life, practice giving thanks not only after everything is abundant, but even when you have only your own 5 loaves and 2 fish, a little health, a little time, a little hope, a little affection, a little courage, placed in my hands. What is small is no longer merely small. Perhaps you wonder how to hear my voice in a world that is too loud. I will not always speak through sounds that overwhelm you. Many times I speak through the peace that draws you away from a wrong choice, through a holy unease that keeps you from continuing to live falsely, through a Bible verse that suddenly shines within your mind, through the counsel of a wise person, through the closing of an opportunity that seemed good but was not healthy for your soul. To hear me, you need to become less full. A cup that is already overflowing cannot receive new water. If your mind is always filled with news, judgments, arguments, worries, phone notification, and images that disturb your heart, then my gentle voice will be hidden. Give me a quiet space each day, even if it is short. You do not need ornate prayers. I only need you to sit there and be honest. Sigh, Father, today I am tired. Sigh, Father, I do not know what to do. Sigh, Father, keep my heart from becoming hard. Such simple words can become a bridge for grace to cross. Then, once you have been strengthened, I want you to become a source of strength for someone else, not by exhausting yourself, but by allowing the light you have received to continue passing through you. A message sent at the right moment can save someone from the feeling of being forgotten. A sincere smile can lighten someone's heavy day. Listening without rushing to judge can open the door for a soul trapped in silence. You do not need to have much money in order to give. You can give time, attention, prayer, kindness, a seat, a meal, a word of encouragement. In the Acts of the Apostles, Peter said to the lame man at the gate of the temple that silver and gold he did not have, but what he had, he gave in the name of Jesus Christ, and the man stood up. You also have something to give. Do not take it lightly. Perhaps you cannot change the whole world, but you can make the small corner you pass through a little less cold. And many small corners warmed by love will cause the night to lose its power little by little. Even so, when you give, remember to return to the source. No one can keep pouring from an empty vessel. You are not the savior of everyone. You are only a child invited to cooperate in love. Let me be the one who carries the heaviest part. Learn to say no when it is necessary to protect your peace. Learn to rest when your body calls for it. Learn to cry when your heart is full. Learn to seek help when you cannot continue on your own. When Moses raised his hands in prayer during the battle, and when his hands grew tired, Aaron and Hur supported them. I remind you of this, so you may understand that even those entrusted with great missions need others to lift them up. Do not be ashamed because you need someone beside you. Do not call your weariness a contemptible weakness. There are times when the most beautiful humility is to admit, I need help. And when you open your heart in the right place, I can send you gentle hands. Now, if these words are accompanying you toward the end of a day, let them become a candle placed within your heart. You do not need to carry everything at once. You only need to carry what matters most. I am still here. When tomorrow comes with unknown things, I am still here. When you enter a difficult conversation, I am still here. When you stand before decisions about money, health, family, work, and the future, I am still here. When old memories return and knock at the door, I am still here. When unexpected joy makes you smile, I am here too, rejoicing with you. Do not seek me only in tears. Recognize me also in laughter. Do not call upon me only in emergencies. Speak with me even when your heart is peaceful. Do not think of me only as the one who repairs what is broken. I am also the one who watches you grow, rejoices when you choose what is good, is proud when you rise again, and remains gentle as you learn to love. I am not a stranger visiting your life. I am home, and you, no matter how far you have gone, always have a way back. So before you close this moment, place your hand upon your chest if you can, and listen to that heartbeat as a small bell of grace. Every beat says that you are being given one more chance to live more beautifully, to love more deeply, to forgive more wisely, to care for yourself more gently, and to trust more steadfastly. Let me touch the places in your heart that are still afraid of the light. Let me walk through the rooms of memory that you have locked. Let me call by name the child within you, the child who once longed to be held, to be understood, to be told that not everything that happened was their fault. I embrace the you of yesterday, the you of today, and the you of tomorrow. I bless you in what has been lost, so that it no longer becomes a chain. I bless you in what you have now, so that you may recognize grace. I bless you in what has not yet come, so that you do not step into the future with panic, but with trust. My peace remains with you, not as the world gives, but like a deep river flowing beneath every storm. Keep going, my beloved child, for night cannot overcome the dawn. Wounds cannot overcome mercy, and no goodbye can ever be greater than the love I have for you. And once you have heard that word of peace, do not be too quick to think that I have come only to comfort you for a moment and then leave. No, my beloved child, I am not a guest who visits your soul for a few brief minutes. I am the one who created you, who called your name in the depths, who has patiently stood before the door of your heart through so many seasons of sun and rain. There were days when you thought I was silent, but my silence was not my absence. Just as a seed buried in the earth does not hear the voice of the sower, yet is still held by the warmth of the soil, so you too have been covered by my love, even when you could not feel it. When you cried in a dark room, I was there. When you clenched your teeth and endured a day while no one knew your heart was breaking, I was there. When you tried to do what was right but the outcome was not what you hoped for, I was still there. Not as a distant observee, but as a father quietly placing his hand beneath each step you took. For I spoke in Isaiah, saying, "Do not fear, for I am with you." And that word does not lie still on an ancient page. It is entering this very breath, resting upon your weary shoulders like a cloak of mercy. Perhaps what wounds you is not only loss, but the feeling that you have been forgotten in a world far too vast. You look at others moving forward, see them with happier families, more stable work, healthier bodies, lives that seem brighter. And then you turn back to yourself and wonder why you are still struggling to find your way. But my child, do not measure your season by someone else's. An olive tree needs a different kind of time than a wildflower by the roadside. A deep river does not flow as loudly as a small stream, yet it is still making its way to the sea. I did not create you to become a copy of anyone else. I created you with your own rhythm, your own calling, your own beauty, your own journey, one that carries both tears and light. When Jeremiah hesitated and said he was too young, I reminded him that before he was formed in his mother's womb, I knew him. You are the same. Before the world praised or criticized you, before you succeeded or failed, before you learned to define yourself by outward things, I knew you with a love that does not change. So do not let comparison turn your heart into a cold room. Let gratitude open the door. For a grateful person is not someone who lacks nothing, but someone who recognizes that they are still being upheld amid what remains unfinished. In the days ahead, you will still face choices that make your heart uncertain. There are roads that appear wide but lead your soul farther from the truth. There are doors that shine brightly, yet behind them there is emptiness. There are invitations that sound very attractive but cause you to lose your peace. I do not forbid you from entering life. I do not want you to fear the world, for I myself created this world with mountains and hills, seas, birdsong, grains of rice, working hands, and the laughter of children. But I want you to learn discernment. Not everything that glitters is light. Not every opportunity is a blessing. Not everyone who stands beside you has been sent to build you up. In the book of Proverbs, there is a word that says to trust in the Lord with all your heart and not to lean on your own understanding. And that word does not tell you to stop thinking. It invites you to place your mind under the guidance of the one who sees farther than you do. When you must make a decision about money, ask whether it will make you more upright. When you must make a decision about love, ask whether it will bring you closer to peace. When you must make a decision about work, ask whether it will force you to sell your soul cheaply. When you must decide whether to hold on to something or let it go, ask whether there is life in it or only the fear of loss. I will not always answer with thunder, but I often place within you a deep peace, like the still surface of a lake after the wind is past, so that you may know which direction to take. And if you have ever chosen wrongly, do not sit forever beside the ashes of the past. I have not called you to live your whole life inside a sentence you wrote against yourself. You can take responsibility without destroying yourself. You can repent without falling into despair. You can learn from your mistakes without turning them into your name. Look at David, who committed grave sin, who wounded himself and others. Yet, when his heart broke before me, he prayed, "O God, create in me a clean heart." I did not despise a shattered soul that knew how to return. So you too, return in truth. Do not hide from me what I already know. Do not dress your wounds with pretending words. Place them before me, because only what is brought into the light can be healed. Perhaps you have been angry with your loved ones. Perhaps you have neglected your health. Perhaps you have spent out of fear, worked yourself into exhaustion, loved from dependency. I stayed silent when you needed to speak the truth, or spoken too much when you needed to listen. But today, I am not opening the old page to strike you. I am opening a new page to teach you how to write with wisdom. My mercy is not a license for you to repeat the darkness, but the strength that helps you rise out of it. From there, learn to care for your mind as a gardener tends a precious bed of soil. A harmful thought, if you nurture it long enough, will take root and become bitterness. A self-accusing word, if you repeat it again and again, will become a chain. A fear, if you allow it to rule, will make you forget that I am greater than every storm. Therefore, each day you need to sow seeds of truth into your mind. When you hear within yourself the phrase, "You are not good enough," remember that I do not call those who are already good enough. I make those who are called become new. When you hear the whisper, "You will fail," remember that Moses once trembled before his mission, yet I went with him. When you think, "No one needs me," remember that a body has many members, and even the smallest part has meaning within the body of love. St. Paul reminded you to be renewed in your mind, and that renewal does not happen only in a single prayer, but in each small choice. What you choose to watch, what you choose to hear, whom you choose to stay close to, which words you choose to believe, which memories you choose to keep, and which hope you choose to water. If your mind today is full of thorns, do not despair. I am the gardener who patiently pulls out each poisonous root, turns over each hardened patch of soil, and then plants there the seeds of peace that time will cause to bloom. Your body also needs to be seen with that same merciful gaze. I know there are days when you stand before the mirror and see only the things you dislike. You see the marks of age, fatigue, illness, lack of sleep, pressure, and the changes that time has left behind. But my child, that body has carried you through so many seasons. Those feet have brought you through difficult days. Those hands have worked, embraced others, wiped away tears, cooked meals, and carried responsibilities that many times no one saw. That heart still beats, even though there were moments when it felt as if it could not bear one more pain. Do not treat your body as an enemy. Care for it as a companion I have entrusted to you. When you rest at the right time, that too can be an act of obedience. When you eat properly, move gently, seek medical care when needed, sleep more fully, and step away from the things that are destroying your health. You are telling me that you cherish the gift of life. Long ago, after Elijah fled in exhaustion and asked to die beneath the broom tree, I did not give him a long sermon in that moment. I sent an angel to bring him bread and water, and told him to eat, because the journey was still long. Do you see, sometimes the most sacred thing you need to do is not to force yourself to be stronger, but to eat a little, sleep a little, breathe a little, so that your soul can hear me more clearly. When you return to the people around you, carry with you the gentleness I have given you. This world already has too many sharp words, too many cold glances, too many hands that only know how to push others down. Do not become one more noise in that chaos. Become a lamp. You do not need to shine so brightly that everyone notices you. You only need to be bright enough for one lost person to see that they have not been abandoned. A message asking how someone is can be the small bridge I use to save a heart. An apology can unlock many years of silence. A listening ear without judgment can soothe a soul that is burning. When Jesus saw the crowds, weary and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd, he was moved with compassion. So let your heart also be moved with compassion. But do not forget that mercy does not mean allowing yourself to be crushed. I want you to love with an open heart and an awakened mind. Help others within your capacity, but do not carry their sins as though they were your sentence. Forgive, but do not hand back the keys of your life to those who continue to wound you. Be kind, but also know that boundaries are the fence protecting the garden I am healing within you. There are children of mine who are hurting because of family, and perhaps you are one of them. You may have grown up in a home lacking tender words, or perhaps you are now living among conflicts that are not easy to speak about. Perhaps you love your family, yet you are also tired from expectations, blaming, and old wounds that keep being mentioned again. I am not telling you to pretend everything is beautiful if it is hurting you, but I invite you to look at your family with eyes that are both honest and hopeful. The generations before you may have carried fears they did not know how to name, then unknowingly passed them on to you through harsh words, silence, and clumsy ways of loving. You do not need to continue that cycle. In me, you can be the one who begins a new stream, speaking more gently, listening longer, apologizing sooner, praying before reacting, teaching children with love instead of only with fear. When Joshua said, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord," it was not only a strong declaration, but a direction for an entire household. Your home may not yet be perfect, but if you place a candle of prayer there, the darkness will no longer have the right to say that it is the only master. In love, seek what causes your soul to grow. not only what makes your heart tremble for a passing moment. I created love as a beautiful gift, not as a trap that makes you lose yourself. True love does not force you to trade your dignity in order to be kept. True love does not turn you into someone who is always afraid, always apologizing for existing, always trying to prove that you are worthy of being loved. Love with me at its center will be patient and kind, not boastful, not self-seeking, as St. Paul wrote in the Hymn of Love. But remember this: patience does not mean accepting endless hurt, and kindness does not mean allowing someone to trample upon your soul. If you are single, do not see yourself as someone forgotten. This may be the season in which I am building a foundation within you, so that you may know who you are before giving your heart to someone else. If you are married, ask me to teach you to love with perseverance, but also ask me to heal the silent places that have not been touched for a long time. If you have lost a love, do not think your heart will forever remain a ruined house. I am the one who called Lazarus back to life after 4 days in the tomb. I can also call your hope to step out of the place that seemed dead. And regarding children, or the young people I have placed near your life, remember that they do not only need food, clothing, and achievements. They need to see light in your eyes. A child may forget an expensive toy, but they will remember the feeling of being listened to. They may not understand all your sacrifices today, but one day they will recognize love in a meal, in an embrace, in your presence, in the prayer you whisper while they sleep. Do not raise them out of fear that you must create a perfect child. Raise them with the faith that each child is a seed I send into the world, and you are invited to water them with love. Guide them with gentle discipline. Shelter them with prayer, but not suffocate them with your own unfulfilled dreams. When Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me," he was not only calling the children of long ago, he was also calling the childlike part within every soul. The part that still knows how to trust, to wonder, and to run home when wounded. So let your home have room for laughter, for questions, for mistakes corrected with patience, for a blessing before leaving the door, and for nights when the whole household is reminded that no matter what today has been, love still remains. If you are lonely, I want you to distinguish between loneliness that leaves you empty and solitude that makes you deeper. There are silences that are not meant to punish you, but to help you stop clinging to noises that do not nourish your soul. When the crowd leaves, when the phone is silent, when the gatherings end, you may hear a smaller but truer call. Many prophets met me in the wilderness. The people of Israel also came to know me not only in the promised land, flowing with milk and honey, but in the days when manna fell each morning. Enough for that day. The wilderness teaches you not to store up fear for tomorrow, not to build idols out of temporary things, and not to forget that true life comes from me. If you are now in a season where few people understand, few remain, and few words of encouragement reach you, do not quickly conclude that you have been abandoned. Perhaps I am separating you from the noise so I can return your own soul to you. Perhaps I am teaching you to become a friend to yourself before stepping into new relationships. Perhaps in that empty space, I am laying the foundation for a healthier connection, one in which you no longer choose people only because you fear being alone, but choose with peace and clear wisdom. Then, when you look toward the future, do not let what has not yet happened steal the grace of today. Worry often disguises itself as preparation, but if it causes you to lose sleep, lose faith, and lose the ability to love in the present, then it has gone beyond its rightful place. Jesus once said not to worry too much about tomorrow, for tomorrow will have troubles of its own. That word does not tell you to live carelessly. but teaches you not to live like an orphan in your Father's house. You may plan, save, learn, work diligently, prepare for your family, protect your health, and build your work. All these things are good when they are placed in my hands. But when planning becomes a throne, when fear becomes the commander, when the future becomes a ghost standing between you and peace, stop, return to the present, look at your hands, your breath, the light around you, the person who needs you today. Each day has enough manna for that day. Each day has enough grace for that day. I do not always give you the strength for 10 years in a single morning. I give you strength for the next step, and then the next, until you look back and realize that you have passed through the whole valley and were never alone. In your work and calling, ask me to purify your motives. Doing great things is not wrong. Dreaming is not wrong. Wanting to grow is not wrong. Wanting abundance so you can care for your family and help others is certainly not wrong. But do not let achievement become an altar where you sacrifice your health, your family, your conscience, and your soul. Some people climb very high, only to discover that they have left their hearts at the foot of the mountain. Some people win in the eyes of the world but lose in the private room, where they no longer know who they are without applause. Work with excellence, but do not worship excellence. Be creative, but do not let creativity turn into pride. Earn money, but do not let money purchase away your ability to show mercy. Lead, but remember that Jesus washed the feet of his disciples. And power in the kingdom of heaven is not like the power of the world. When you serve with your talents, whether by writing a beautiful word, creating a wholesome image, caring for a patient, planting a vegetable bed, teaching a child, driving a route, cleaning a floor, or building a great plan, do it as a quiet offering. I do not measure your work only by its fame, but by the love you place within it. If there are times when prayer becomes dry, do not leave me simply because you no longer feel as you did in the beginning. Mature faith does not always blaze like a great flame. Sometimes it is only an ember kept beneath the ashes, waiting for a breath of grace. There are prayers without tears, without emotion, without beautiful words, yet they remain precious before me because they are offered with faithfulness. You only need to speak honestly. Father, today I am empty. Father, I do not know what to do. Father, please stay with me. The two disciples on the road to Emmaus walked in sorrow and did not recognize that the Lord was walking with them until he broke the bread. You too may be walking beside me without yet recognizing it. Keep inviting me to stay. Open a page of Scripture. Even if you read only one verse, light a candle. Even if your heart is not yet bright, sit still for a few minutes. Even if your mind is full of noise, I do not need you to perform holiness. I only need you to sincerely open the door. Even a small crack is enough for light to enter. And that light, once it enters you, will not stop with you. I heal you not only so that you may hurt less, but so that through you, someone else may also be soothed. I comfort you not only so that your heart may be at peace, but so that your hands may learn to comfort others with true compassion. What you have overcome can become a bridge for someone standing at a similar edge. Your sorrow, when placed in my hands, can become fragrant oil for another person's wound. But do not rush to turn yourself into the savior of the whole world. You only need to be faithful to the person I placed before you today. The Good Samaritan did not heal every victim on every road, but he stopped for the one abandoned before his eyes. You are the same. Begin nearby. The nearest one may be someone in your home. The nearest one may be yourself. The nearest one may be a friend quietly losing heart. The nearest one may be a stranger who needs a kind word. When you stop to show mercy, the kingdom of heaven comes very near, not as a distant idea, but as warmth placed upon the wound of a human life. Therefore, my beloved child, if this is a continuing path after that gentle farewell, then understand that farewell in me never means being abandoned. It is a sending forth. I comfort you, and then I invite you to keep walking. I wipe your tears, and then I invite you to look again at the sky. I hold you in the night, and then I open the door to dawn. You do not need to walk as someone who understands everything. You only need to walk as someone who knows they are loved. Carry that word of love into the way you treat yourself, your family, your work, your money, your body, your memories, nature, the poor, the difficult to love, those who have hurt you, and even the future whose face is not yet clear. Let every morning be a small prayer. I ask to begin again with you. Father, let every evening be an act of surrender. I place this day into your hands. Father, when you do something good, give humble thanks. When you stumble, return quickly. When you are loved, receive it. When you are misunderstood, let me be your witness. When you are in need, ask for wisdom. When you have abundance, open your heart to share. When you are afraid, remember that my hand has not grown short, my mercy has not run dry, and my promise has not been faded by time. Now I place within your heart an even deeper blessing, quiet and unshowy, yet steadfast, like an underground spring. May you know how to leave behind the things that make your soul wither. May you know how to remain with the things that nourish life. May you have eyes that can see blessings in a simple meal, in the morning sunlight, in the breathing of loved ones still beside you, in the chance to begin again after a mistake. In an ordinary day without upheaval yet filled with grace, may you have a heart soft enough to love, strong enough to let go, wise enough to wait, humble enough to learn, brave enough to speak the truth, and peaceful enough not to chase after every call of the world. If tonight your heart is still heavy, place your hand upon your chest and remember that I am nearer to you than your own breath. If tomorrow morning you wake with the same old worries, let this word go before you. My grace is sufficient for you, not because every problem disappears at once, but because my presence is greater than the problem, not because you will never weep again, but because your tears no longer fall into emptiness, not because every door will open, but because, even before a closed door, I can still make a holy way. Go in peace. My beloved child, live as one who has been called by name in love. Remember that wherever you go, whatever you face, whatever season you pass through, I am still your Father, and you are still the child I hold in the palm of my hand. And my beloved child, after that word of peace has been laid upon your life, like a soft layer of light upon the shoulders of a traveler, I do not want you to quickly regard it as a moment already gone. My peace is not a sound that briefly arrives and then fades away, nor is it a feeling that remains only when everything around you is favorable. My peace is a river flowing quietly beneath the earth, even when the ground above is still dry, even when your sky has not yet cleared, even when your questions still have no answers. You may step out of this moment and meet again the bills, the responsibilities, the unanswered messages, the people who still do not understand you, the unfinished work. But do not let those things deceive you into thinking that I have left you. Jesus said to his disciples on the night before his passion, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you." And that word was not given on an easy morning, but in the hour when darkness was drawing near. Therefore, understand that true peace is not when you no longer have trials, but when, in the midst of trials, your heart still finds refuge in me. There will be days when you wake up and feel you do not have enough strength to begin. Light passes through the curtains, yet your heart seems still to be lying in the night. You hear life calling you to be faster, better, more successful, younger, more beautiful, richer, stronger, and you feel your soul shrink beneath those voices. But my child, I do not wake you each morning so that you may enter an endless race. I wake you so that you may continue to live, continue to love, continue learning how to become more like light than you were yesterday. Perhaps today you only have enough strength to do one small thing, then do that small thing with all your faithfulness. Perhaps you only have enough strength to smile at one person in your home. That smile too can be a seed of the kingdom of heaven. Perhaps you only have enough strength to tidy one corner of your desk, pay one small debt, drink a glass of water, read one verse of scripture, or remain silent instead of becoming angry. Even then, you are still moving forward. Do not despise quiet progress, for a tree does not grow by noise, but by endurance deep within the soil. Then, when you look back at the things that have hurt you, I want you to learn to see them with eyes washed in mercy. Not every pain should be kept like a treasure, but neither is every pain meaningless. There are wounds that once made you close yourself off, yet, when placed in my hands, they can become a doorway through which you understand others more deeply. A person who has never known hunger may find it hard to feel the empty stomach of the poor. A person who has never been abandoned may find it hard to understand the coldness in the soul of the lonely. A person who has never failed may easily judge someone sitting among ruins. Therefore, what you have passed through does not have to make you hard. If you allow me to heal you, it can make you gentler. When Jesus appeared after the resurrection, he did not erase the nail marks from his hands as though suffering had never happened, but he allowed Thomas to touch them. And from that wound, faith was awakened. You are the same. There are marks in your life which, when covered by grace, will no longer be evidence of failure, but will become the place where others recognize that life can still rise after days that seem dead. In the seasons when you must wait, your heart can easily become troubled. You pray but have not yet seen the door open. You try but have not yet seen results. You sow goodness but have not yet seen the harvest. You love but have not yet been loved in return. You correct yourself but still stumble. Waiting sometimes makes you think I am silent. But, my beloved child, my silence is not always absence. The potter does not speak much while shaping the clay, yet his hands are still working. The gardener does not dig up the seed every day to prove that it is alive, yet he still waters it, still waits for the sun, still believes in the mystery beneath the ground. Abraham waited for the promise in old age. Sarah laughed because she thought it was too late. Yet I still caused life to bloom where the human person thought the season had ended. So if you are waiting for an answer, a healing, an opportunity, a change in your family, a way out in your finances, a light for your mind, wait not as one forgotten, but as one being prepared. For what I am doing in you is sometimes even more important than what I am doing for you, especially in those moments when you compare your life with the lives of others. Return to this truth. I do not write your life with the rhythm of the person beside you. You see them buying a house, getting married, having children, being promoted, becoming healthy, standing out, being loved, and you silently ask why you are still here, still relearning old lessons, still saving every coin, still healing each fragment of your heart, still passing through days so ordinary that it feels as though no one sees them. But my child, Flowers in a garden do not bloom at the same hour. And I do not blame the flower of August because it did not bloom in March. Every soul has its own season, its own pace, its own journey kept within my wisdom. When Peter turned and asked about the fate of the other disciple, Jesus said, "As for you, follow me." That word is also for you. Do not lose your calling because you keep looking back at another person's path. You do not need to live their life in order to be loved by me. You only need to walk faithfully on the path I have placed before you. There may be times when you feel too ordinary to be used for something good. You think you have no great talent, no great voice, no position, no resources, no confidence. But I often choose small things to shame the pride of the world. I use the staff in Moses' hand to open a way for my people. I used the sling and a few stones in David's hand to bring down the giant. I used 5 loaves and 2 fish from a child to feed the crowd. I called Mary, a humble young woman in Nazareth, to bear the word. Do you see? The question is not whether you have much or little in your hands, but whether you dare to place what you have into my shrine. A kind word from you can save someone from despair. A just action from you can protect someone vulnerable. A video you make with a pure heart can touch a soul in need of light. A meal you cook with love can become a banquet of grace. Do not wait until you become great before living goodness. Live goodness, and you will see my greatness hidden within small things. And when you make a mistake, do not run away from me as Adam hid among the trees of the garden after the fall. I still call. Where are you? Not because I do not know where you stand, but because I want you to step out of the place where shame is imprisoning you. Sin makes you fear the light, but my mercy is not a flame meant to burn you to ashes. It is the dawn that lets you look at yourself without despair. Perhaps you have said something that wounded another person. Perhaps you have been careless with your body, neglected your family, been dishonest in your work, grown cold in prayer, envied others, spent money unwisely, or carried resentment for too long. I do not ask you to call darkness light. I invite you to name the truth, and then allow that truth to be bathed in grace. St. John wrote that if we confess our sins, God is faithful and just to forgive and cleanse us. So, do not use guilt like a stone tied around your neck. Repent. Repair what can be repaired. Apologize where an apology is needed. Stand up, and let me teach you to continue walking with humbler feet. That humility must also enter the way you treat others. You do not know the full battle inside another person. So, slow down before condemning. The person who is hot-tempered may be carrying a fear that has not yet been healed. The person who is cold may once have opened their heart and been betrayed. The person who is silent may be exhausted. The person who often boasts may be trying to cover a very deep feeling of lack. This does not mean you allow others to hurt you without boundaries, but it invites you to look at them with compassion rather than contempt. When Jesus saw the crowd, he was moved with compassion because they were like sheep without a shepherd. You too should ask me for a heart that knows how to be moved with compassion, not a naive heart that can be used, but a strong heart because it is rooted in love. There are words you do not speak that will save a relationship. There are reactions you hold back that will preserve peace in a home. There are silent prayers for the person who hurt you that will free you from the chains of bitterness. In your home, I want you to sow small habits of light. A morning that begins with gratitude instead of complaint. A meal where eyes meet one another instead of everyone sinking into a screen. A conversation in which you listen to understand, not merely to answer. An evening when you place your hand upon your children's heads and bless them, even if your words are clumsy. A moment when you tell your spouse that you are grateful for them, even though both of you are tired that day. Small things like these are not noisy, but they build a temple within daily life. In the book of Deuteronomy, my people were reminded to keep the holy words in their hearts and to speak of them when sitting at home, when walking along the road, when lying down, and when rising. That is not only a ritual, it is a rhythm of life. Faith is not only found in solemn places, but also in the way you close a door gently when someone else is sleeping, the way you clear the dishes after a meal, the way you do not turn your own exhaustion into a wound for the innocent, the way you make your home a place where people can return without fear of being crushed. If you are a father, a mother, or someone caring for another person, I know there are forms of weariness that are not easy to name. You may love deeply and still feel that you lack patience. You may want to protect your children and still fear that you are not wise enough. You may be caring for aging parents, for a sick loved one, for responsibilities repeated day after day until no one notices your sacrifice anymore. I see it all. When Hagar was in the wilderness and thought that she and her child would die of thirst, I heard the child's voice and opened her eyes to see the well nearby. There are wells near you too, but weariness has blurred your sight. I can open your eyes to see a person who can help, a healthier way to rest, advice that comes at the right time, a resource you had not thought of, a quiet space to breathe. Do not think that love means burning yourself up until nothing remains. Holy love knows how to sacrifice, but it also knows how to receive support. For even Moses, when his hands grew tired, needed Aaron and Hur to hold them up on either side. In your health, let wisdom walk together with faith. Prayer does not remove the responsibility to care for the body, and caring for the body does not lessen faith. When you rest, eat with moderation. Seek medical care when needed. Avoid what harms you. Move your body. Breathe. And walk beneath the morning sun. You are cooperating with the life I have given you. Many people think holiness means forgetting the body. But my only begotten Son took on a body. He knew hunger, thirst, weariness, and sleep in the boat amid the storm. Your body is not the enemy of your soul. It is a companion that needs to be guided with love. If you are ill, do not conclude that you have been abandoned. If you are weak, do not be ashamed of needing others. If your mind is heavy, do not think your faith is worthless. There are clouds within the human heart that need time, carry, listening, and sometimes even the hands of professionals whom I can also use as instruments of healing. Remember the gentle word. A bruised reed he will not break. A smoldering wick he will not quench. I do not despise your fragility. I bend down to protect that small flame. As for the dreams you have buried, I want you to open them again, not with haste, but with prayer. Some dreams come from pride and need to be purified. Some dreams come from fear and need to be released. But there are also dreams I placed in you like holy seeds. And you buried them not because they were wrong, but because you feared you were not enough. You once wanted to learn something new. Begin an honest work. Write a story. Tend a garden. Help the poor. Build a peaceful family. Create something beautiful. Speak the truth. Live more slowly. Serve more deeply. Bring those dreams into my light. Do not first ask, will this make the world admire me? Ask instead, will this make me more loving, freer, truer, closer to you? For there are outward successes that are inward deserts, and there are humble roads upon which your soul blossoms. When I led Israel with a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night, I did not always lead them by the shortest path, but by the path they needed in order to be transformed. You too should let me guide your dreams along the road of maturity, not merely the road of speed. In the times when you suffer loss, do not force yourself to be strong by denying your tears. Tears do not make you less faithful. Jesus wept before the tomb of Lazarus, even though he knew resurrection was about to come. This shows you that hope does not erase the sorrow of love. Hope embraces sorrow and carries it toward the light. If you miss someone who has departed from this life, let that longing become a prayer. If you regret an opportunity that has passed, let that regret teach you to cherish what remains. If you have lost a relationship, let me tend that emptiness before you rush to fill it with unhealthy things. There will be afternoons when memory returns like a distant bell. Do not be afraid. Sit with me inside that memory. Let me help you distinguish what is love to be treasured from what is a chain to be undone. Not everything that disappears from your hand disappears from my plan. Many things returned to me in tears will be kept in ways you do not yet fully understand. And when your heart is tempted by despair, look up to the witnesses who went before you. Ruth entered a foreign land with almost empty hands, holding only loyalty and quiet faith. Yet in the field of Boaz, every leftover grain became the beginning of a lineage of blessing. Naaman had to humble himself and bathe 7 times in the ordinary Jordan River in order to be healed. Because sometimes the miracle is not found in the grand thing you imagine, but in the simple obedience you almost look down on. Bartimaeus sat by the roadside, told by many to be quiet, but he still cried out, "Son of David, have mercy on me." And his cry stopped the steps of the Savior. So if the world tells you to be silent, if circumstances make you think your prayer is not worth hearing, keep calling to me. No sincere cry is abandoned in my heart. There are prayers not yet answered in the way you desire, but there is no prayer that falls into emptiness. From there, learn the art of gratitude, for gratitude is the key that opens bright rooms within the soul. A grateful person is not someone without problems. It is someone who can still recognize blessings in the midst of problems. You can be grateful that today you still have breath. I still have a roof over your head. Still have someone to remember. Still have a chance to make things right. Still have a meal. Still have eyes that can see the sun. Still have hands that can do good. When 10 lepers were healed, only one returned to give thanks. And Jesus asked, "Were not all 10 cleansed?" That question gently awakens you too. Do not let what you do not yet have make you blind to what is being given to you. A grateful heart does not make every circumstance easy at once, but it makes you less possessed by darkness. It teaches you that even on a day of little, grace is still present. Even in a small room, heaven can still visit. Even in a simple meal, love can still turn bread into a feast. But gratitude does not make you passive before injustice or the poverty of others. On the contrary, when you realize that you have been shown mercy, you will want to become mercy for the world. Let your eyes see the one who is being forgotten, the elderly person sitting alone, the child lacking a word of encouragement, the worker exhausted after a long day, the friend who is smiling while the light in their eyes has gone out, the neighbor who needs a hand, the stranger who needs a kind word. In the parable of the Good Samaritan, the one called neighbor was not the person who spoke beautiful words, but the one who stopped, bent down, bandaged the wounds, placed the injured man on his donkey, and cared for him through action. You too can be that Samaritan in your world. You do not need to wait until you have a great deal of money before you share. You do not need to wait until you have abundant free time before you care. You do not need to wait until you are perfect before you serve. A small gesture, when done in love, can carry the fragrance of the kingdom of heaven. At last, my beloved child, as this continuation slowly draws to a close, I do not want you to hear it as a distant sermon. but as the hand of the Father holding your hand on the very real road of your life. Tomorrow, you may still meet difficulties, but you no longer need to face them like an orphan. Next week, there may still be things unresolved, but you do not need to lose your soul while searching for answers. The months and years ahead may still hold separation, change, illness, trials, difficult decisions, and seasons of loneliness. But there will also be dawns, laughter returning, warm meals, open doors, good people whom I send to you, lessons that make you wiser, and moments when you realize you have become stronger by grace. Keep in your heart the word I spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. I know the plans I have for you, plans for welfare and not for calamity, to give you a future and a hope. You do not need to know the whole future in order to have hope. You only need to know who is holding that future, and that one is not cold, not distant, not forgetful of you. That one calls you my beloved child, places you in the palm of my hand, and watches over you with a love that never sleeps. So go on with lighter shoulders, not because every burden has disappeared, but because you have remembered that you are being sustained. Forgive yesterday, because it no longer has the right to rule over you. Welcome today, because grace is still within it. Step into tomorrow, because I have already gone there before you. When you open a door, open it with faith. When you close what is old, close it with peace. When you meet others, carry gentleness with you. When you meet yourself in the mirror, look with the eyes with which I look upon you. When you pray and do not know what to say, simply whisper, Father, stay with me. As the two disciples on the road to Emmaus said when evening fell, and I will stay. I will break bread in the ordinary days of your life. Open your eyes in moments you thought were merely coincidence, and warm your heart on roads you once walked in sorrow. You thought you were walking away from the Jerusalem of hope, but I can walk beside you even on that very road, explaining to you each fragment of pain, then turning them into a testimony that your heart can still burn again. Therefore, receive this blessing once more, not as a final period, but as a lamp placed into your hands. May peace cover your memory, so the past no longer pulls you down into the depths. May peace cover your present, so you may recognize the beauty that is alive around you. May peace cover your future, so you do not fear what is still unknown. May courage dwell in your steps, gentleness in your voice, wisdom in your decisions, purity in your desires, and mercy in the way you look at the world. If you fall, rise again in me. If you weep, weep in my arms. If you rejoice, rejoice with gratitude. If you succeed, remain humble. If you slow down, believe that slowness does not mean failure. If you must say goodbye to something today, say it with faith that in me, every ending surrendered in the right way can become a threshold. I am with you in this breath, in this day, in this journey, and when every sound grows quiet, when the world stops demanding, when you are left alone with your own heart, hear me whisper once more, you are loved, you are kept, you are guided, and you will never walk alone. And once you have received that word of peace, do not quickly think that peace is only a passing gentle feeling that disappears when the door of life opens again with all its familiar noise. My peace is not like the fragile quiet the world gives. For the world may be silent on the outside while still filled with storms within, but the peace I place in you can remain even when the work is unfinished. The bills are unpaid. The apology has not been answered. The house is still untidy. and the heart is still learning how to heal. Jesus said to his disciples in days when they were still full of fear, "My peace I give to you." And you should hear that sentence as though, at this very moment, I am sitting beside you, not promising that every wind will stop immediately, but promising that you will not be left alone in the wind. Therefore, when you leave this moment and return to ordinary life, carry peace as you would carry a candle sheltered in the palm of your hand, with no need to display it to anyone, no need to prove it to anyone, only to keep it burning bright enough to light the next step. Perhaps in just a few minutes, you will hear a message that makes you anxious. Remember an old story that hurts you, or see something that makes you compare yourself with someone else. But in that very moment, place your hand upon your chest and remember that I have planted in you a seed that does not belong to fear. That seed may be small, but the kingdom of heaven was once compared to a tiny mustard seed that grew into a tree, so that the birds of the air came and found shelter in its branches. Your soul is the same. Today it may still tremble. Tomorrow it may still be tender. But if you let me water it with grace, it will grow into a refuge for you, yourself, and for those who pass through your life weary and worn. From that peace, learn to look back on the things that have exhausted you with a gentler gaze. I know there are burdens that do not come from wrongdoing, but from your goodness being stretched too far. You want to help everyone, preserve every relationship, meet every expectation, be a good child, a good father, a steadfast mother, a trustworthy friend, a worker who disappoints no one. But my child, the goodness that is not guided by wisdom can become a vessel poured out again and again until it runs dry. Even Moses, the one who led the people through the desert, once needed to hear the counsel of his father-in-law Jethro and share the responsibilities. Because one person cannot carry alone every complaint, every dispute, every pressure of an entire people. That story is not only an ancient lesson in leadership, it is a reminder for you in today's home, today's office, and today's relationships. You are called to love, but you are not called to destroy yourself in exchange for the temporary satisfaction of others. You are called to serve, but not to turn your soul into a piece of ground for anyone to trample upon. Learn to say no with gentleness. Learn to rest without guilt. Learn to hand back to me the things that are beyond your strength. When Jesus multiplied the loaves, he did not force the disciples to create a miracle with their empty hands. He only told them to bring 5 loaves and 2 fish. You, too, bring your small portion to me, and let the multiplying, transforming, opening of ways, and sustaining be done by me in my own way. Then, from the place where you learn to lay down your burdens, you will begin to understand that not every delay is a refusal. There are prayers you have offered for a very long time, so long that you no longer know whether you are still waiting or have already given up. You prayed for your family to be more harmonious, for your health to be restored, for your work to become stable, for someone to return, for a door to open, for your mind to become less dark, for your heart to stop trembling whenever night falls. And because you have not yet seen a clear answer, you thought I was silent. But my beloved child, a seed lying beneath the soil is also silent. A child in the mother's womb also grows in hiddenness, and dawn does not arrive with an explosion, but through thin lines of light slowly spreading across the horizon. When Anna in the temple waited for the Savior, she did not see the promise take shape in a single day, yet her quiet faithfulness allowed her to meet the child at the hour I had appointed. When Simeon held Jesus in his arms, he was not holding only an infant, but a promise that had been awaited through old age and tears. So do not rush to conclude that I have forgotten you, simply because you have not yet seen what you long for. Sometimes I am preparing people, preparing circumstances, preparing your very heart. Because if the blessing came too soon while your heart was not yet steady enough, you might embrace the gift and drop the giver. Waiting is not an empty room. If you let me enter it, it will become a chapel where you are made deeper, softer, wiser, and freer. In that waiting, keep your mouth from speaking curses over your own life. I hear you every time you say, "My life is going nowhere. I always fail. No one truly needs me. There is nothing precious in me." Those words may seem like mere complaints, but they can become cords, tying your mind to darkness. I created the world by my word. Therefore, words have power to shape the atmosphere around you. When you bless, you sow light. When you speak poisonous words, you sow thorns into the very garden where you live. This does not mean you must pretend to be joyful when you are in pain, nor does it mean you must hide your tears behind empty phrases. I am not asking you to lie to your own heart. I am inviting you to speak the truth in hope. Instead of saying, "I am finished," sigh, "Father, I am weak. Please lift me up." Instead of saying, "There is no way left," sigh, "Please light the next step." Instead of saying, "I deserve to be abandoned." Remember the word in the Psalms that the Lord is near to the brokenhearted. When you change your words, not every circumstance changes at once, but your soul begins to have a window. Light often enters a life through a small opening like that, through a trembling prayer, through a gentle reminder spoken to oneself, through the decision not to curse tomorrow simply because today still has many gray clouds. And from the words you speak, let me teach you to heal relationships with truth and mercy. There is someone who needs to hear you say, "I am sorry," not because you were completely wrong in everything, but because love is sometimes saved by humility more than by winning. There is someone else you need to forgive, not so they may continue hurting you, but so your soul does not have to drink the same bitter cup every day. Forgiveness is not erasing memory, nor is it pretending the wound never existed. Forgiveness is handing the final judgment back to me, so that you no longer have to be a prisoner of anger. When David had the chance to kill Saul in the cave, he did not use that favorable moment for revenge. Even though Saul had hunted him like an enemy, David cut off a corner of the robe, but he did not cut off the reverence for God within his heart. Remember that story when you hold in your hands the chance to wound someone as they once wounded you. Revenge may make you feel strong for a moment, but mercy is what makes you free for a long time. Yet do not confuse mercy with opening the door forever to what is toxic. There are people you forgive from a distance, praying that light may touch them, but you do not need to place your heart beneath their feet again. I am merciful, but I am also wise. Let the love within you carry both gentleness and discernment. When the heart is no longer tightly bound to resentment, you will have room to love smaller things, and those small things will save you from the dryness of this age. You are living in a world that runs very fast, where people measure one another's lives by speed, achievements, images, numbers, and applause. But I am still speaking through the rhythm of a grain of wheat, through the warmth of a meal, through the eyes of a child when being listened to, through the peace of an afternoon that needs to prove nothing at all. Learn to return to ordinary blessings. A clean glass of water is a gift. A roof that shelters you from rain is a gift. A person who remains so you can still call their name is a gift. A morning when your body can still rise is a gift. A job that may be tiring but still sustains your life is a gift. When Jesus taught the disciples to ask for daily bread, he did not teach them to demand storehouses for 10 years. but to trust in the provision of each day. You have often forgotten today because you were too worried about tomorrow. I've forgotten the person before you because you were busy thinking about the one who left. Forgotten the blessing already in your hands because you were looking at someone else's table. Come back, my beloved child. Today has enough light for today. Today has enough grace for today. Today, even though it is not yet complete, is still the piece of ground I have placed beneath your feet, so you may sow something good. In that returning, look at the children around you with softer eyes, whether they are your own children, younger ones in your family, students, or simply tender souls you meet along the road of life. Children do not need only food, clothing, and books. They need adults who know how to live so that light takes on a shape. When you become angry, they learn fear. When you know how to apologize, they learn humility. When you pray, they learn that human beings are not the center of the universe by themselves. When you keep your word, they learn trust. When you hold them on the days when they have not yet behaved well, they understand a very small part of my love that does not abandon. Jesus once said to let the little children come to him, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to those who are like them. Remember, to be like a child does not mean being naive before evil, but knowing how to trust, how to wonder, how to run back into loving arms without needing to dress the soul up as perfect. If you are raising a child, do not only ask what score they achieved, whom they defeated, or whom they are as good as. Ask whether their heart is at peace, whether they know they are loved, whether they are learning to be kind to those weaker than themselves. And if that child is the little part within you that was once wounded, once unheard, once forced to grow up too quickly, then today I also call that part closer. I do not despise its weakness. I do not blame it for crying. I only open my arms and say, let me be your father in the places where you once lacked an embrace. From children, also remember the elderly, those who are quietly slowing down in a world that favors what is new and fast. Perhaps in your home there is a father, a mother, grandparents, or a loved one who was once strong but now needs to be reminded to take medicine, needs a phone call, needs someone patient enough to hear the same story again. Do not see their slowness as a burden. Every wrinkle is a line written by time upon the body. Every trembling hand may once have held, worked, prayed, and carried more than you know. The book of Sirach once reminded you to honor your parents and not grieve them in their old age. That word is not a cold moral burden, but an invitation to protect gratitude from indifference. Of course, I know that some families are not simple, that some memories with parents are not only gentle, and that there are wounds passed through generations that make it difficult for you to draw near. I am not telling you to deny the truth, but within what you are able to do, choose a way of living that does not allow bitterness to become the next inheritance. A word of concern, an act of care within your strength, a prayer for the ones who gave you life, a decision not to pass wounds on to the next generation. All of these can be small stones, rebuilding a bridge that the years have cracked. And if the one you love is no longer on this earth, let your tears fall in hope, because love in me is not locked away by the grave. That love which passes beyond the grave will teach you to face loss with a gentler faith. You have feared the word goodbye because it reminds you of faces no longer seated at the dining table, voices that remain only in memory, holidays missing someone, places that suddenly feel too wide because someone is absent. I know longing can make your heart ache in a way no one sees. But my child, in me, what has been loved with true love does not vanish like dust blown by the wind. When Jesus stood before the tomb of Lazarus, he wept. Pause there. The one who had the power to call the dead out still wept with those who were hurting. So when you cry, do not be ashamed, as though faith requires your eyes to stay dry. Tears do not oppose faith. Tears can be the prayer of the body when the mouth no longer knows what to say. But after the tears, hear my voice calling as he called Lazarus. Come out. Come out of the dark cave of despair, out of the burial cloths of guilt, out of the thought that your life ended together with what you lost. The person you love may not return in the way you desire, but whatever good love taught, you can still continue to bloom in the way you live, the way you are kind, and the way you lift up others who are hurting as you once hurt. Then there will come a time when you realize that every loss, every healing, every beginning leads you to a quiet question. Upon what foundation are you building your life? If you build upon praise, one criticism can crack the wall. If you build upon money, one upheaval can shake the ground. If you build upon beauty, time will terrify you. If you build upon control, the unexpected will become your enemy. But if you build upon me, the rain may fall, the waters may rise, the winds may blow, and yet the house of your soul will still have something to hold on to. Jesus told the parable of the wise man who built his house upon the rock, not to say that the man would never face storms, but to say that the foundation determines what remains after the storm. Look at your life with honesty. What is your foundation? Are you letting a mortal person decide your eternal worth? Are you letting success become a small god before which you kneel? Are you placing your peace in things that can never hold you forever? Do not be afraid of that question. I do not ask in order to shame you. I ask in order to invite you to set the first stone again. Each time you pray, each time you choose truth instead of deceit, each time you forgive instead of nurturing resentment, each time you do good when no one sees, you are placing a stone upon the firm foundation. One day, when the storm comes, those quiet stones will be what keep you standing. From that rock foundation, step into the future, not with haste, but with disciplined trust. Faith is not only a warm feeling that lasts for a few minutes. Faith is also the moment you choose to live rightly when no one encourages you. Choose to wake a little earlier to pray. Choose to stop a habit that is darkening your soul. Choose to return what does not belong to you. Choose honesty in your work. Choose to care for your health before your body has to cry out through illness. Choose to use money as a faithful steward rather than as a slave of desire. In the parable of the talents, the faithful servant was not praised because he kept his life absolutely free from risk, but because he knew how to use what the master entrusted to him and make it bear fruit. You, too, have been entrusted with time, talents, a body, a mind, relationships, and even wounds that have been partly healed. Do not bury everything in the ground because you fear making mistakes. Fear being criticized. Fear not being perfect. Begin to sow. Sow a new skill. Sow a good habit. Sow a word of encouragement. Sow perseverance into the dream I have placed within you. Not every seed you sow will grow in the way you imagined, but no seed planted in love is ever completely meaningless before me. I am the one who can use even the fragments left after the meal to fill 12 baskets. Therefore, do not despise the parts of your life that seem like mere leftovers. As you sow in this way, do not forget to guard your soul from the noise of envy. Envy often comes very quietly, disguised as a passing glance, a comparison, a question that asks, why do they have it and I do not? It shrinks your joy and turns another person's blessing into a wound in your heart. But my beloved child, I do not divide grace the way the world divides a small loaf of bread. Afraid it will run out. My source does not run dry. The fact that someone else is lifted up does not mean you are being pushed down. The fact that someone else is blooming in this season does not mean your season has been canceled. Remember John the Baptist, when he saw more people going to Jesus. He did not cling to his own lamp in fear, but said that he must increase, and he himself must decrease. That was not failure, it was freedom. The free person can rejoice before the light of another, because they know they, too, thana, have been placed within my plan. Practice blessing the person who has what you once prayed for, not with a false smile, but with a truthful prayer. Father, teach me to trust that my portion has not been lost. When you know how to rejoice with those who rejoice, your heart will become wider. And when your heart becomes wider, I can place within it blessings that are not distorted by fear. Finally, remember that every word I speak to you today is not meant to keep you inside emotion, but to send you into life with a heart that has been touched. Holiness is not found only in the moment when you hear a beautiful word, but in the way you become gentler toward the person who serves you, more patient with your loved ones, more honest in small matters, more grateful when eating a meal, more watchful when spending money, kinder when using social media, humbler when praised, and steadier when misunderstood. If you are merely moved and then return to living as before, this word will be only a passing sound of music. But if you let one small sentence become one small action, then let that small action become a habit, and let that habit become character. You will see that grace does not only fall like rain, but also soaks into the soil and changes the color of the whole field. Let others meet you and feel that goodness still exists in this life. Let your home have a little more peace because you know how to lower your voice. Let your work have a little more light because you do not deceive. Let your body rest because you no longer treat exhaustion as a medal. Let your soul breathe because you no longer hold everything as though I had left my throne. I am still here, my beloved child, not far away on some cold cloud, but nearer than your breath, nearer than your tears, nearer than the thing you have not yet dared to say aloud. And as you continue walking, even if you can take only one very small step, I still call it a return if that step is turned toward the light. Now, if your heart is still heavy, give it to me, piece by piece, without needing to offer it beautifully, without needing to speak eloquently. Give me your worry about tomorrow. Give me the person you still cannot forgive. Give me your weary body. Give me the memory that hurts you. Give me even the dream you are afraid to mention again, because you have been disappointed too many times. I do not despise your trembling gift. A bruised reed I will not break, and a smoldering wick I will not snuff out. Let that word rest in the middle of your heart like a warm hand. You think you are only a small flame left, but a small flame is still fire. You think you are only a dry branch, but in my season, even a valley of dry bones can hear the spoken word and live again. You think this goodbye is the final period, but I want it to become a threshold, where you turn your back on despair and step into a new day with feet that may still tremble, but are no longer alone. Go in peace, my child. Love life without clinging to it in desperation. Love people without forgetting the source of love. Work without losing your soul. Rest without guilt. Begin again without shame. And whenever you think you have gone too far, remember that the way back to me is never locked. All you need to do is turn your face back, and you will see that I have been standing there all along, with arms wide open, with eyes that do not condemn, with a call gentler than every voice in the world. My child, I am still waiting for you, and I still love you. And when you hear that you belong to me, do not understand it as a chain that binds you, but as a home. To belong to me means that no matter how far you go, There is still a place to return to, no matter how much you lose. There is still a love that does not lose you, no matter what harsh names the world calls you. I still call you my beloved child. Some people belong to money, so when money shakes, their hearts collapse as well. Some people belong to praise, so when the applause stops, they feel empty. Some people belong to the past, so every new day is dragged down by an old shadow. But you belong to the one who made the dawn, the one who knows the number of hairs on your head, the one who heard your sigh before you could turn it into a prayer. Therefore, when life brings you to unfamiliar places, when plans are redirected, when you must say goodbye to something that was once very familiar, remember that your identity does not lie in what leaves, but in the love that remains. Jesus once said, "I am the vine, you are the branches." And that word places in your heart a gentle truth. A branch may tremble in the wind, may endure a season of pruning, may stand bare for a time, but if it remains connected to the source of life, it will bear fruit again in its proper season. There are times when I allow you to pass through a season of pruning, not because I want to hurt you, but because I love what you can become. A gardener does not cut a branch because he hates the tree, but because he knows there are dry limbs taking life away from the young shoots. You also have dry branches like that within your soul, a habit that quietly exhausts you, a relationship that makes you forget your worth, a comparison that drips poison into your heart day after day, a fear that makes you hesitate before the door I am opening. I do not tear everything from you at once, because I know your heart needs time to learn how to let go. I come slowly, like a father removing each thorn from your clothes after you have walked through the thicket. If you feel you are losing a few things, do not quickly conclude that I am moving away from you. Perhaps I am lightening your hands so you can receive something new. Perhaps I am cleansing the room of your heart so peace may have a place to dwell. Perhaps I am teaching you that not everything you hold tightly is a blessing, and not everything that leaves you is a tragedy. Just as the grain of wheat in the gospel must fall to the ground and die in order to bear much fruit, there are old versions of you that need to remain behind so you can enter a deeper, clearer, freer season of life. From that place of freedom, you will gradually understand that forgiveness is not a door opened for the one who hurt you to come in and break you again, but a door opened so that you yourself can step out of the prison room holding your soul captive. I know there are wounds that cannot be closed by a gentle piece of advice. There are memories that return like cold rain, making you shiver even on a sunny day. There are people who spoke words too heavy, left too cruelly, betrayed too deeply, making you think that if you forgive, you are denying your pain. But my child, forgiveness in my light never means pretending that what was wrong was right. Forgiveness is handing the final judgment back to me, so you no longer have to be a judge day and night inside your own heart. When Jesus said on the cross, "Father, forgive them," he did not speak from a place without pain, but from the very depth of suffering, so you could understand that love can be greater than the wound. You do not need to rush and force yourself to smile while your tears are still hot. Begin by saying to me, "Father, I cannot forgive completely, yet, but I want to be set free." Even a word like that is the first seed of dawn on a land once covered entirely by night. Then, when that dawn comes, it will not always be radiant immediately. Sometimes it is only a thin line of light on the horizon, just enough for you to know that night is no longer the whole story. I want you to be patient with your healing process. Do not blame your heart because it has not become joyful again as quickly as others expect. Do not scold your soul because it still startles at what has passed. The good shepherd does not shout at the wounded sheep and ask why it walks so slowly. The good shepherd bandages it, carries it on his shoulders, and brings it back to safety. I treat you the same way. If today you can only pray with a breath, I receive that breath. If you can only say one short sentence, Lord, have mercy on me, I hear that sentence as though hearing an entire hymn. If you can only stand up and do one necessary thing in your day, I see your courage. The world often honors great leaps, but the kingdom of heaven also rejoices over one small step taken in the right direction. The woman with the flow of blood only touched the fringe of Jesus' garment, very quietly in the middle of the crowd. Yet that small faith opened the way to healing. So do not look down on the moments when you only have enough strength to touch hope lightly. As you learn to touch hope, you will also learn to look back on your life with eyes that are less harsh. I want you to stop standing before the past like someone holding a whip. Perhaps you once chose wrongly, remained silent when you needed to speak, said words that hurt someone, wasted opportunities, allowed anger to guide you, and walked down paths of which you are not proud. But my beloved child, repentance is not sitting forever in ashes. Repentance is standing up and turning your face toward the light. When David recognized his sin, he did not hide from me. He prayed, "Create in me a clean heart." And that prayer itself became the door through which grace entered. You can also pray like that, not with despair, but with the faith that I can still create something new within you. I do not merely patch your heart so it becomes as it was before. I can make your heart softer, deeper, wiser, and more compassionate because it has known pain. The years you thought were wasted can still become fertilizer for the next season. If you place them in my hands, nothing you give to me with an honest heart is ever wasted. From that honesty, learn to speak with me as a child speaks with his father, without decorating your words, without pretending to be more holy than you really are. Tell me what you fear when you check your bank account. Tell me about the pressure you hide behind a calm appearance. Tell me about your loneliness in a crowded room. Tell me about the family matters that keep you awake, the children who make you worry, the aging of your parents that tightens your heart, the work that leaves you exhausted, and the signs in your body that need care, but that you keep postponing. I do not reject ordinary prayers. I do not listen only when you speak of heaven. I also listen when you speak of meals, bills, back pain, sleepless nights, longing, plans, disappointments, and even your small joys. In the wilderness, I did not only give the 10 Commandments, I also gave manna each day. That reminds you that I am the one who cares for both the soul and daily needs. Bring everything to me, because Jesus once invited, "Come to me, all who are weary." And that invitation excludes no part of your life. But when you bring everything to me, also learn to listen to the holy silence after your prayer. There are times when you pray and wait for an immediate, clear answer. But I give you peace before I give you the answer, because peace will help you recognize the way without fear blinding your eyes. There are times when you ask me to change your circumstances, but first I change the way you see, so that the same old room suddenly has a new window. There are times when you ask for someone to stay, but I teach you to stand firm even when they leave. There are times when you ask for a specific opportunity, but I close it to protect you from a burden you cannot yet see. I know you may grieve over my no, but trust that true love does not always give a child what he wants in a weak moment. True love gives what helps the child live. When Paul asked that the thorn in his flesh be removed, the answer was not immediate removal, but the word, "My grace is sufficient for you." Let that word rest in your heart like a small pearl, because there are seasons when I do not remove the burden right away, but I place beneath your shoulders a quiet strength. That quiet strength often comes through the people I send into your life. Do not close your heart so tightly that every hand reaching out to you is met with suspicion. I know you have trusted the wrong people before, been disappointed, given your heart to those who did not know how to protect it. And now you want to protect yourself by needing no one anymore. But my child, wisdom is not closing yourself off. Wisdom is discernment. In Scripture, Ruth did not allow loss to turn her into someone who turned her back on loyalty. After her husband died, she could have left Naomi to find her own way. But she spoke a deeply faithful word: your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. From that quiet faithfulness, I opened a stream of blessing that Ruth could not see when she first walked forward in poverty. You are the same. Learn to cherish the Naomis in your life, those imperfect people who still walk with you through dark seasons, and learn to become Ruth for someone else. A presence that is not loud but enduring. Sometimes a miracle does not come like thunder from heaven, but through someone who stays when you thought everyone would leave. And if I send you to become that kind of presence for someone else, do not think you must be rich, strong, or perfect before you can give something good. A cup of cold water given at the right moment can carry the fragrance of the kingdom of heaven. A message asking how someone is can pull a person back from the edge of loneliness. A sentence such as, "I believe you will get through this," can light the lamp again in someone's inner home. When the boy brought 5 loaves and 2 fish to Jesus, the gift was too small before such a large crowd. But in my hands, what was small became enough for many. So do not say, "I have nothing to give." You have gentleness refined through suffering. You have experience paid for with tears. You have time, however little, to listen. You have a prayer, however short, to lift someone before me. You have a sincere smile, a quiet act of help, a heart that wants what is good. When you give from what you have, I will make it greater than your ability. Your life does not need to be famous in order to have influence. You only need to be faithful in love. And the light has already begun to spread. Let that light first spread within your own home, where sometimes the people nearest to you are the easiest to forget. You may be polite to outsiders, but impatient with your loved ones. Patient with strangers, but lacking gentleness toward your parents, spouse, children, or siblings. I do not say this to shame you, but to invite you back to concrete love. Faith is not measured only by beautiful prayers, but also by the way you lower your voice when you are tired, the way you apologize when you are wrong, the way you place your hand on a loved one's shoulder instead of throwing out blame, the way you listen to a child tell a small story as though it matters. Because to that child, it truly does. Remember the story of Jesus entering the house of Zacchaeus. He did not begin with a long sermon before the crowd, but by entering a home, and that loving presence changed a tax collector. You, too, can bring me into your home, not only through sacred images or recited prayers, but through kindness at the meal table, honesty with money, faithfulness in promises, and forgiveness in small collisions. A home becomes holy when love is practiced every day. So keep walking, not as someone who must prove that you deserve to live, but as someone who has been blessed to live. Step into the new day with a heart that is tender but not weak, humble but not self-despising, wise but not bitter. Let the past teach you, but do not let it name you. Let the future call you, but do not let it terrify you. Let the present become the place where you meet me, because I am not only in the glorious days that have passed or in the miracles yet to come. I am in this breath, in this heartbeat, in this small decision. If you must say goodbye to an old season, say it with gratitude. If you must close a door, Close it with peace. If you must begin again, begin in the light. I place my blessing upon you like fragrant oil upon the head, like spring rain upon thirsty ground, like a lamp that does not go out in the long night. Remember the word I have engraved upon your heart: do not fear, for I am with you, not only in church, not only when you are strong, not only when you feel worthy in your own eyes, but on every road you walk. You are my child. You are loved. You are guided. And until you see all things clearly, keep placing your hand in mine, because I know the way home. Merciful Father, in this quiet moment, I place my heart into your mercy. I have passed through many long days with unspoken worries, with wounds hidden behind a smile, with times when I thought I had to carry everything alone. But today, as I hear your voice reminding me that I belong to you, I ask to return like a weary child returning beneath the roof of peace. Please touch the places in me that still hurt, the memories that still frighten me, the mistakes that still make me lower my head, and renew my soul with your gentle light. Teach me that an ending is not always a loss, that a goodbye can also be the beginning of grace, and that when one door closes, you can still open another path through the deep sea, just as you once opened the way for your people to pass through. Help me not to live in guilt, not to let the past rule the present, not to call myself by names you have never called me. Help me stand up, breathe again in hope, and believe that your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path, so that even when I cannot see the whole road, I still have the courage to hold your hand and take one more step. Beloved Father, I offer to you my body, mind, family, work, finances, and every small thing in my life. There have been times when I looked down on myself, neglected my health, allowed my mind to be filled with noise, and let my heart run dry because I tried to please too many people. Teach me to care for myself, not out of selfishness, but out of reverence for the gift of life you have given me. Help me know how to rest when I am tired, how to be silent when I need to listen, how to eat and work with moderation, how to put down my phone so I can look into the eyes of my loved ones, and how to speak words of love before time passes too quickly. Please enter my home. Enter the conversations that have not yet healed. Enter the distances within my family. Enter the resentments not yet resolved. Soften harsh words, warm cold glances, and soothe hearts that have been wounded. Let my work become a quiet prayer, so that at my desk, in the kitchen, in the classroom, on the road, in the shop, or wherever I am present, I may live uprightly, kindly, and so light. Father, please also bless my financial concerns, so that I may manage what I have with wisdom, strive without panic, save without becoming hard, give within my ability, and trust that you do not forget my true needs. Father, source of peace, help me let go of what it is time to place back into your hands. I give you the people who have left, the words I did not have the chance to say, the doors that have closed, the old seasons that have ended, the dreams that have not come true, and even the pain I no longer have strength to keep inside. Teach me to forgive without wounding myself further, to love without losing my soul, and to remember the past without being chained by it. Give me the heart of Joseph, who was able to look at what others intended for harm and recognize that you could still turn it into a path of saving life. Give me eyes that know how to see nature as a book of grace, to see in a small flower your care, in the rain your promise to renew dry land, and in the dawn, the sign that darkness never has the final word. When I am lonely, remind me that you are still near. When I am afraid, speak to me as Jesus spoke. Peace be with you. When I am weak, lift me up. When I lose my way, call me home. And when I continue walking after this prayer, let me not walk as one abandoned, but as a child blessed, loved, and held in your hand. I thank you, Father, because today you did not allow me to rush through life without being reminded of your love. I thank you because in the midst of a world full of noise, you still speak to me with a gentle voice. In the midst of everything that makes me doubt my worth, you still call me your beloved child, and in the midst of the times when I fall, you do not turn your face away, but bend down to lift me up. I thank you because endings are no longer only darkness, but can become the place where you prepare a new dawn. I thank you because my scars are not meaningless, because they can become evidence that mercy is stronger than suffering. I thank you because even though I am not yet perfect, not yet as strong as I wish, not yet living as fully as I desire, you are still patient with me each day. I thank you, Father, for the very ordinary things that I have often forgotten to call blessings. I thank you for this morning's breath, for the light outside the window, for a simple meal, for someone who still remembers me, for hands that can still work, for feet that can still walk, and for a heart that, though it has been hurt, still knows how to love. I thank you for my family, though it is not perfect, because it can still be a place where you sow healing. I thank you for work, though at times it is tiring, because it still gives me the opportunity to live usefully and practice faithfulness. I thank you for the nature around me, for the sky, the wind, the rain, the leaves, the little flowers, all quietly reminding me that you still care for this world with a love that never rests. I thank you, Father, because my future is still in your hands. I do not know everything tomorrow will bring, but I thank you because I do not have to step into tomorrow alone. I thank you for the doors you will open at the right time, the people you will send in the right season, the lessons you will use to make me wiser, and even the things you will not allow to happen because you want to protect my soul. I thank you because your peace is not like the peace of the world. It does not depend entirely on outward circumstances, but can flow deeply within me, like a river beneath every storm. From today onward, may my life become a living thanksgiving, so that when I speak, when I work, when I love, when I rest, when I pass through farewells and new beginnings, everything within me may quietly say, Father, I am grateful because I belong to you. Thank you for listening. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel so we can grow together in faith and in the love of God.